And now, friends, once more it's time for that friendly custom of ours on these programs. I mean, a visit to the old Maxwell House here on the lot for a steaming cup of Maxwell House coffee. And, Meredith, will we enjoy our coffee with the music that goes with it?
We now pause briefly for station identification.
KFI, Los Angeles.
This is Robert Taylor again, ladies and gentlemen, and we're continuing our good news of 1938.
Hello, Bob.
Well, Maureen O'Sullivan. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like you to meet the lovely lady who appeared opposite me in A Yank at Oxford, the picture we made in England last summer, Miss Maureen O'Sullivan.
Thank you.
Maureen, it's swell to see you again. Won't you sit down a minute and listen to the music?
Well, Bob, I understood, that is, wasn't I to do a scene from A Yank at Oxford at this point?
Well, no, not right now. The drama comes a little later in the program.
Oh, that's strange. The gentleman in charge out there just told me to go right ahead now.
Gentleman in charge?
Yes. Mr. Burney.
Mr. Oh, wait a minute.
Hey, Jack. Oh, just a minute, Bob. I'm straightening out Wilson's music. Now, Meredith, I think that if you made that a dotted eighth note, right in...
You think so?
Yeah, just lay it aside while I clear up this other matter. What is it, Bob?
Maureen O'Sullivan...
Oh, I'm terribly sorry. Miss O'Sullivan, meet Robert Taylor.
I know Mr. Taylor very well.
Oh.
Now, listen here, Jack. I don't mind your giving suggestions, but when you start sending people out on the stage in the middle of the program and confusing everybody, that's going too far.
I should say it is. You told me you were running this program, Mr. Burney.
The name is Benny. Jello. Now, look, Bob. My plan was to have Maureen here.
The name is Maureen.
Maureen, come out and do a dramatic scene. You know, something to take the curse off of the first part of this show.
I think that's a good suggestion. I think that's a very good suggestion, Mr. Jello. After all, A Yank at Oxford is opening in the theaters all over the country in the next few days.
Well, I wasn't thinking of that, Miss Yank. Now, look, if you just...
all right, Fanny, that's enough. I'm not going to stand here and have you tear our show down.
Now, Bob, don't get me wrong. I'm only trying to be helpful.
Helpful? You're ruining everything.
Mr. Benny, when do I do the scene?
I'll have it straightened out in just a minute. Now, look, Bob.
I won't look at anything. I started out with a good show tonight, and now where am I?
Well, don't get excited. I didn't say it was your fault that the show isn't good. Not entirely your fault. What do you think, Maureen?
Well, I don't know whose fault it is. When do I do the scene?
There isn't going to be any scene. Benny, you keep your nose out of this.
What, the whole thing? Look, Bob, if you didn't want me to tell you how to run the program, why did you send for me?
Who sent for you?
Well, of course, I didn't know they'd gone over your head.
Who went over whose head?
Now, don't get acrobatic. You know how I happen to be here tonight, don't you?
No, I don't.
Do you two mind if I sit down?
No, not at all. Now, Bob, look, it was perfectly simple. I was walking along Hollywood Boulevard, minding my own business.
I can hardly believe that.
Well, I was walking along anyway. And who should I see a block or two away but the head of MGM's radio department, Louis K. Sidney?
Yeah, go on.
Of course, I had no intention of forcing myself onto your program, but after I caught up with Mr. Sidney, we passed the time of day. One thing led to another, and I saw where the conversation was going. So I came right out and I said, L.K., I always called him that, L.K., would you like me on the Maxwell House program Thursday?
Oh, you said that, huh?
Well, what else could I say? I didn't want to embarrass him. Of course, he was tickled to death.
He was, huh? What did he say?
Well, he was very enthusiastic. He said, Jack, why don't you give me a ring in a few weeks and we'll talk about it.
Yeah? Well?
Well, I forgot to call him, that's all. I had to come down. I couldn't let the fella down, you know.
Well, it's plain to see, Jack, you wished yourself on the program, and I know, because Mr. Sidney told me he didn't want you.
Oh, he did, eh? The big gossip.
Hey, you don't know what you're talking about, and I'm getting tired.
Well, why don't you do what millions of others are doing? Refresh yourself with a cup of Maxwell House.
Bob, do I understand that this gentleman has nothing to do with the show at all?
Absolutely nothing.
Well, he's been giving orders like a second lieutenant. He's had me waiting for 10 minutes out there.
What's the idea, Benny? Keeping Maureen O'Sullivan out there cooling her heels.
O'Sullivan heels. That's a pip. Now, that's what you need on this program. Oh, that's dynamite.
That's not funny, Jack.
Bob, he's got Jack Conway standing around there, too.
Mr. Benny, how much longer do I have to wait?
Just a minute, Mr. Conway.
Jack Conway. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the man who directed us in MGM's new picture, A Yank at Oxford. Jack, Maureen, I'm terribly sorry if you've come here under a misapprehension.
Oh, I don't mind, Bob. As a matter of fact, this is probably the best chance I'll ever have to pay a tribute to a man I've admired for a long time. He's one of the nicest people and the best directors in all entertainment world. Take a bow, Jack.
Well, thanks, Maureen. I really...
Sit down, Benny. She means Jack Conway.
Well, you've got to admit it was a natural mistake. Two Jakes here. By the way, Mr. Conway, if I may make a suggestion, I don't want to butt in or anything, but if I had anything to do with directing that picture, I would certainly have gone to England for the locale.
Hey, what's the matter with you? We were in England for 3 months.
Well, then you should have made the picture while you were there.
We did.
Well, then I'm right. You see, Bob, how I'm helping your program? I don't know what you fellas want anyway.
Well, I don't know what you want, Bob, but I'd like to have everybody know how proud I am of the Yank at Oxford. I think you, Maureen, and Lionel Barrymore gave wonderful performances. In fact, I'm proud and grateful to everyone in the cast, especially those fine English players who helped us so much. It was a pleasure to work with all of you. The Yank at Oxford is the first picture to come from MGM's new studio in England, and I'm happy that I was the director chosen to make it. Thank you.
Well, thanks, Jack. There's nothing I can add to that. Thanks for coming up here, and thank you, too, Maureen. Jack! Jack, please go away, will you? Will you?
Oh, you're afraid you can't follow it, huh?
Play something, will you, Meredith? That was Meredith, Willson, and his orchestra playing Can't I.